In this video, I want to start talking about how we can release the kettlebell underneath the leg. Now, there are a lot of different ways that we can release the kettlebell under the leg. Primarily, the rotations that we are using are going to be the simple and the oblique. So the simple flip, pushing down on the handle to create that spin for the handle to come up towards the top, and the oblique flip, also pushing down on the handle, but this time with the handle vertical. Any other rotation doesn't quite make sense for going under the leg, meaning our mug flip, it just gets awkward. So we use our simple and we use skills like our oblique flip. For this video, we're going to dial in the simple release going across the body. So if you haven't already watched my last video where I talked about two of the most important movements you can start to really refine, those being the crossbody simple to the same hand, using that simple rotation, but this time pushing down with the thumb, and then also our crossbody simple switch. Same release, but now I'm going a little higher and switching hands. Now for going under the leg, utilizing the simple, we can go to the same hand and we can also go to the opposite hand. I usually teach the opposite hand first, but both are very accessible. So dial in this skill and this skill, and then let's go ahead and jump into the under the leg. So let's go ahead and start with that under the leg simple to the opposite hand. We're going to touch on a few important things prior to actually the release, looking at the full build up that I'd like to use in order to explain a movement. So first we have the build up. I'm casting to the outside, and as I cast, I want to make sure that my weight is shifted onto the leg that's going to be balancing. If I don't do this, what happens is I cast, I pick up my leg, and I've lost balance because my weight is 50-50 over both feet. So instead, as I cast, I'm just going to note that this leg is going to have all of the weight. Sometimes I'll even come up on my toe on the leg that's going to come up, just to cue me knowing that leg is going to come up and me shifting my weight. So I cast. What I'm not going to do as that bell comes across my body is have any bend in this leg. Some jugglers will cast, dip, and then straighten their legs to get this leg involved more, to have more rise, but more often than not, that's a little more of an advanced technique. And the more you bend your leg, the more opportunity you have to hit that knee, which is not good. So keep this leg straight, cast, and we're going to be coming across the body, orientating the handle like this for our simple. If we were doing an oblique, we would come across the body like this, but because we're doing a simple, as soon as I cast and come across my body, I'm going to be palm towards the leg I'm throwing under. So one other common mistake and tied to the build up is lifting this leg too early. The longer you have this leg in the air, the more you have to rely on balance. So the timing is important. Cast, wait, bring the leg up. You see how when the bell starts to rise upwards, my leg's rising upwards. And this is an important note for being able to add height to get to this hand or to get to a height that we need for a certain skill. If I only keep my leg down here and it's there early, so I cast, bring my leg up, what happens is that because this leg isn't rising up, it's a solid object. And I'm just going to do this. I'm going to release pretty low, and there's a good chance that I can overwrap because that momentum wants to, it's already ended, Now it wants to wrap around. That looks like this, which can be challenging if we're trying to get the bell here. Whereas if I come up and I release in this upwards direction because I'm following my leg, more often than not, it helps the bell have this nice vertical rise exactly where we want it to go. Not over there. That's more like it. So we've covered the build up, we have the timing, and now let's look at the release. My thumb's on the middle of the handle for this movement because we get that natural curl going under the leg. I usually don't have to put too much spin on it unless I intentionally want to do 2 flips, in which case I'm going to actively push down with my thumb before I release it to create that spin. Now, what's really important for this movement and all juggling skills in general is having an intentional target that you want to aim towards. So this hand is in here and I go for that release and I just release it, and then I think about, now I got to figure out how to catch it wherever it goes. That's not the ideal perspective or mindset to have, as opposed to already having this hand set up as a target so you are aiming towards it, and this saves you a lot of trouble. Even if you can't figure out the technical nuances of how you're going to exactly release from here into that target, your body just has a way of figuring it out. It has a destination, it has a release point, and the body's going to just figure out how to coordinate that release to get exactly where you need. So I've got my target sorted out. This is where I'm aiming for. About shoulder height, not fully extended, so I don't want to catch too far away from me or else it's going to pull me when I go into something else. And so about shoulder height, bring it in a little bit. That's the position. And your goal with learning any skill is to get as consistent as possible, dialing in that release right into that catch point. Now, the flight path is from here to here. And from here to here, we only have 1 rotation of the bell, not 2. So it's very common to overspin this one because it typically has more distance than what, for example, if we're doing a simple in front of us, we're releasing here, catching here. So it's a much shorter distance. Because I'm releasing down here and catching higher, you want to make sure that you're not spinning the bell too quick, or else it'll overspin. I'll miss the handle and miss the catch. So once again, as an overview, I'm casting my build up, casting, and I'm bringing my leg up, keeping this leg straight, and I'm rising up with the bell. My leg's rising up not too early, and this creates the opportunity to get to our release point, which is under the leg. My hand and handle orientation is as such, and I'm pushing downwards with the handle very gently to create that simple flip. My hand for the catch is going to be about shoulder height, slightly in, creating a target that I'm intentionally trying to aim towards. The last step in this progression of understanding a skill is going to be the transition out. So once you catch the bell, there's a number of different things we can do. We could go behind the back, or we could simply come in front. So a flow I like to practice to help you get integrated in understanding the skill in motion is simple switch, under. Simple switch, under. And we continuously switch sides. Under the left leg, 1, 2, under the right leg. And this gives you an opportunity to find that rhythm and flow. That under the leg to the opposite hand should have the same rhythm and timing as your simple switches. So the under the leg to this opposite hand is just a little more complex version of that simple switch. Just now, instead of being able to release here to here, I'm releasing under leg a little lower to this position here. So that is going under leg into the opposite hand. If I wanted to do something like go to the same hand, the build-up is going to stay the same, but you see I'm not trying to get as much height. So now what changes is just that flight path in my catching position. Instead of flipping from here to here, I'm flipping from here to here. So I need very little height, much less momentum, and I'm just flipping the handle, getting my leg down and opening up my palm. So it becomes quite a simple release if you don't overdo it. Now, I always recommend for the simple to the same hand, you never want to release too wide or else you're pulled into rotation, your weight's in this leg, and it can become awkward to come out. So we want to keep this flip right outside the leg, and so I don't have to rotate. I can just extend, catch, and then roll out. If you want to flow to practice with this one, I'd recommend doing that under the leg to same hand, going for a reverse flip to the side of the body, simple switch, and then repeat on this side. Under to the same hand, reverse flip, reset. Under to the same hand, reverse flip, reset. And once again, you can start to dial in a rhythm that works well. Now with integrating these skills into a flow, it's important to remember that weight shift. So if I'm doing this flow that I've just done, cast, shift my weight, catch, reverse flip, shift my weight, catch, keep my weight on this leg, shift over because I'm going underneath this leg. Now shift the opposite way. You'll see I come up on my toe just to cue that that leg's then going to come up under to the same hand. Reverse, switch, shift. I come up under to the same hand. Last tip on these skills is making sure your feet aren't too wide apart when we go for that leg raise. If they are, it's common you'll have to bend this leg because you have to commit weight in order to bring that leg up. And also it's just very easy to lose balance. So if you're transitioning from a proper simple switch stance, which is a little wider, into an under the leg, we want to step in, release, catch, step out. I'll show you that. So now let's go to the simple switch under the leg. Switch, switch, step in, under, step back out. Switch, switch, step in, step out. So long, long, short, long, 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 shift the weight, bring the leg in, and switch. When you're starting your juggling journey, it's a little more difficult to coordinate really good stance work and footwork, but eventually it's something really important to keep in mind to make you more efficient and to make your journey a little more rhythmic and in flow. Kettlebell juggling involves so much more than just releasing the bell. It's a full body discipline. Even though we're not actively using our legs like in a squat, we're constantly having to coordinate our footwork with what we're doing in order to create a really efficient pathway for the bell to travel in. So that's it for some under the leg variations. There's a lot of things you can do with this. We can go to our rack position. We can go under the leg behind the back. We can do a mill-like movement where we throw back the same direction that kettlebell came. Also done with the oblique. And there's a lot of other skills as well that we can get into. All of which I teach in my 2 courses. The first one, Juggling Foundations. It'll introduce you more properly and with more detail into those underleg releases. And then freestyle juggling starts to expand the complexity. So then you learn how to go behind the back, into that tap flip, into that rack I just did, and a bunch of other skills. I also want to announce officially that my school community, the Kettlebell Juggling Academy, is now open. So if you get value from this YouTube channel, you've started getting into kettlebell juggling, and you're enjoying the challenge that it presents to you, the Kettlebell Juggling Academy is going to be a perfect community for you. You'll have access to all 4 of my kettlebell courses: foundations for those new to the bell, moving 3D for those wanting to build more of a multiplanar 3D relationship with the bell, juggling foundations, and freestyle juggling, as were just mentioned. We're also going to have 2 live sessions a week, and so you get real-time feedback, real coaching from myself, as well as get to train alongside other people on that same journey of you. And then we have seminars, we have different resources for competition, and a whole lot more. So it has become my hub of education for kettlebell juggling. Accumulation of everything I've learned the last 6 years, coaching the sport and competing and winning at the highest level. And a lot of students that I've taught are also in the community. So there's other coaches, other people who are able to offer support and feedback. So if you're interested in that, I'll have the link in the description, and we'll see you on the inside of the academy.